I think that's the beauty of music, that it has that kind of power, that we can hear a song and it can take us back to a moment in our lives, that it can remind us of somebody we love and a memory we have with them, and that it can stir up those emotions within us. I think that's one of the best things about music. I don't think it cheapens it at all. I think that's the power of it.
Of course you will be that way with your kids and your grandkids, because that's what your Father has done to you, which is a beautiful picture of what our Heavenly Father feels about us. No matter if we're 50 or 7, you know, wherever we're at, He still has that joy. And you got to actually see that lived out. What a gift. What a gift.
I think where my dad's at, there's no necessary faith. It's like, oh, everything is okay.
This is true.
And it's going to be okay. And my loved ones are going to be okay. There's like probably just this deep sense.
What a legacy he's leaving for you and your kids. And like breaking cycles is big enough, but then just hearing these things, these stories that you share, like what a legacy he's leaving.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Welcome to the Seacoast podcast, everyone. We're excited. Last week you got to hear, I kind of saw it as like the first episode kicking off the new school year. We had Robbie Madison. I know you enjoyed that episode. And today we've got Pastor Teddy Winter and Abbie Love tuning in remotely. And then we have Bree McLeod. McLeod. I was going to say McLeod, but it's not really spelled that way.
It's not.
But that's how most people spell McLeod, I would imagine, right? Yeah. Is that like an old school Charleston name?
It's a Scottish name.
Scottish.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The red hair, huh?
Has everybody had a good summer?
Yeah.
Been all right?
Been very nice. Very nice.
Any good?
A little slow down's been great.
Yeah. Any good vacations?
Bree and I went to Africa this summer.
We did.
Whoa, when'd y'all get back?
Together.
Oh gosh, we went, Abbie, we left at the very end of May and spent the first week of June. It was like the first
week of June.
Yeah. So we kicked off the summer in Togo, West Africa.
Yeah. I'm thinking missions,
together.
Or was it like a fun trip?
A missions
trip.
Yeah.
And fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Both and, yeah.
Have y'all ever done an African safari? Have y'all ever done one? I haven't either. I really, really want to. I've only been to Africa once.
I'm hoping to do it later this year when I go back in October.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been to Ghana, and that's just not where you go for African safaris at all.
That's not it.
not your destination.
I've been out on that Togo trip out into the bush. I did not see any animals. So
I've seen monkeys.
Abbie, you'll have to go somewhere else.
Well, apparently in another area of the country, they have a reserve that then you can find a lot of these rehabilitated animals on. So that's rumor has it. I'll let you know.
I saw, I was coming through the capital, right? That's where you're traveling through. It's where most of the mission work is that you're doing. And I was coming through, and it's cars and motorbikes everywhere. And then off to the side of the interstate, I'm talking like an 8-lane interstate, there is a white camel, like an albino camel, just tied up.
What?
Just tied up.
Jeez.
And it wasn't a ghost. I saw somebody else on the team saw it as well, but it was shocking to see an albino white camel just tied up on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's hilarious.
Hey, listen to this. I went through this this little stretch of time where I was like super, super sad because a good buddy of mine got killed in a car wreck. This is like 2012. And so I would go walking on the Greenway. If people aren't familiar with the Greenway, it's a long stretch of jogging, biking area in West Ashley and Charleston. And I kept seeing an albino squirrel. And at the time, listen how funny this is. At the time, I was like, oh, wow, every time I come out here, I see this albino squirrel. And I'm thinking, oh, God is just showing me that he's with me. But then I was like, actually, the squirrel probably lives here and it's white. So I never missed the daggum thing. I don't think it's God. I think it's a white squirrel that I keep noticing.
You don't see those every day. But you know what? Maybe in that season, you needed to think that it was God. So I don't know.
Oh, man.
They have a white squirrel festival up here in Brevard.
No, they
just
don't.
outside of Asheville.
They sure
do.
do.
I guarantee it.
I can attest.
Come up and do it with us.
What are they?
All the
can
white
attest
squirrels you'd
for
ever
you?
need.
What are you even talking about? You catch a white squirrel and you're invited, or like what was that about?
No. They run rampant in Brevard.
They
They're
do.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that
White
little
squirrels
rascal
everywhere.
came from Vermont. He just wandered off. The one that I saw, he just wandered off.
Yeah, straight down from North Carolina. He somehow caught he might have hit my truck and rode down on the trip one time when we were coming to Allstaff. That might be my fault.
That's it.
It's your fault. You're the one who brought this.
Hey, I got to ask y'all, do any of y'all three like cruises?
I've never been on a
Never
cruise
been on
before.
one?
Not after watching the documentary that I just watched over the weekend. I'm not doing it ever,
I just watched the first episode.
Talking about Amy Bradley is missing.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Insane.
So I've been on two cruises. One was 2004, like when Priscilla and I just got married. We did one of those timeshare. Hey, we promise we'll sit down for an hour and a half and listen to your shenanigans, and then we'll go on a free cruise. So we did that.
Yeah.
And then last year it was kind of a not really cheap way of going on a trip, but it was kind of like a easy way to please all the kids. Let's just pile on a cruise. So we did it last year. But yeah, so you've watched the whole thing. We won't get into it too much, but there's a Netflix 3-parter, and it's basically on a young lady, 23 years old, who at 5:30 in the morning, her father saw her on the balcony, basically, and he's like, okay, well, she's safe. He goes back to sleep, wakes up, according to the father, wakes up at 6 o'clock, doesn't see her, goes out looking for her, thinking, oh, I'm going to, find her drinking coffee or something. Never, ever find her. They never find her, ever. Like, she's completely gone. Yeah. And so, but the reason why I brought this up is they, just in the first episode, they talked about these are international waters. Yeah. So if you want to do a crime, you do it on a cruise. The security, the only security works for the cruise. They're not even like real. I mean, I knew this stuff, but I didn't think of the ramifications. So any security is working for the cruise. They're not like lone agents that just have a completely safety-oriented mentality. They're working for the cruise. So they're obviously taking orders.
I could just go get a job at the cruise line and say I want to work on safety.
Yeah. And you're 500, at any point in time, you're 500 miles for any real deal security, authoritative FBI policeman, about 500 miles. So they really do talk about how cruises are extremely unsafe. But you'll have to,
listen,
part 2 and part 3.
I love me some Netflix documentary.
I am neck deep in it right now. Like, it's all over TikTok. It's all over Instagram Reels. I mean, I think, honestly, now that this documentary has come out about something that happened, 27,
it was 1998.
However many years ago, almost 30 years ago, I think that the people of TikTok are going to solve this case. I really do.
Like the
They're on it.
Remember
They're on it.
The true crime podcast in like 2020, 2019?
Yes.
And those podcasts solved those cold cases. This is going to be another one.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm hearing cruise prices are going down. I can afford to go on.
Let's all go on a cruise.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Insane.
I'll look out for you. I will look out for you.
Oh man! All right, so this is not a.
We got to talk when you finish.
Yeah. Well, no. Right now, it's not going to lead in. If people want to watch it, this isn't going to be a spoiler because the opinions are all over the place. But having watched all 3 episodes, what do you think happened? Do you have like to where you're like, I'm Bree, and I think from what I see, this is my best guess?
Yeah. So there's a lot of theories. She jumped. She fell overboard. Trafficked. I am of the mindset that she was trafficked. I do not think. So what you'll find out, guys, and this is no spoiler alert at this point, but what you'll find out is that several people have come forward over the years saying that they have seen her in countries in that area. Yes, in the country where she was last seen. We've seen her. She told us that she had been, taken, that she was being trafficked, that she was a victim of it. There's talk of all kinds of things. So several people have come forward, but the last known person to come forward was like 20 years ago. So I think she was definitely trafficked, but I don't think she's alive anymore.
Wow. I
got to get my Netflix back.
3 episodes. That's it. 3 episodes.
Hey, so here is, look at this. Look at the smile of Abbie. All right. Look at my smile. Bree is laughing. I want to ask you guys, what is it about true crime? Like, we're all Christians. We mourn. Like, seriously, when I'm watching these parents talk about, it's the first thing I think about in the morning. It's the last thing I think about at night. They're talking about actually getting on a plane and leaving the cruise without their daughter. I'm like, I don't even have words for that.
Devastating.
Like, going on a cruise and then leaving one of my kids behind, and there's nothing I can do about it. Why is it so thrilling to watch? Like, it's a part of our humanity. There's something about us that maybe it's like normal people, like the 4 of us, and I say normal people because the
Thanks,
4,
Joey.
the 4 of us would not take this. If it was a crime, none of us would do something like this. Yeah. So it's almost like, I think for me, how can stuff like this happen? I can't even relate to somebody who would do something like this, but I guess just the concept of mystery. I mean, I don't think that we're bad for being so entertained, but there is a part of me that's just like, why are we so entertained? Like, why do we love this stuff?
Yeah. Well,
any guesses?
I can do true crime. I really do love true crime. I cannot even hear the audio of a trailer for a horror movie without having nightmares.
Same.
So I don't know. I can. For some reason,
so you like true horror?
Real. If it's real, I'm fine. I'm sleeping great.
Wow.
But I will for sure stay up way too late watching every single episode. But if it's fake, it's like, don't let me see that. I don't know.
Okay. I get it.
I don't know. I love it.
Teddy, you like true crime? Like, are you going to watch this 3-part documentary on a woman missing in a cruise?
Yeah, 100%. I jumped on.
Joey, I'm going to watch it during response time Sunday.
Listen, I'm bailing on church on Sunday, and I'm locking in. No,
Joey,
I
please
got hooked.
Live stream it.
Yes, for certain. I got hooked. NPR did that. The podcast, Adnan, the guy that was the high school guy. Remember that
1,000%. Yeah, that's what started it all.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was locked in.
That's what started it for me. Serial.
Oh,
same.
Oh, gosh.
Guys.
I knew I liked you guys.
Love it.
All right, True Crime Podcast, Seacoast Church. We're going to start another one.
Yeah, right?
I think it's a little bit of morbid curiosity, too, that everybody has.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why
I think, too,
I like that.
We are so normal.
Right? Yes.
Like, our lives are very normal. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, this is not an everyday thing. So that's what my intrigue is. It's like, this seems so wild.
Yeah,
I'm
like
entering into this world of something that is like, I can't even conceptualize really fully.
Yeah.
And that is what keeps me in, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It occurred to me that I remember there was a murder, and I grew up in a very safe neighborhood, and there was a domestic murder in our neighborhood. And as a kid, and I mean, I was young, 7 or 8, somewhat pure of heart, and a pretty decent kid. But I remember there being just some excitement, like, this is adventurous. Like, there's something happened in our neighborhood, and you talk about it with your friends, and you're like, no way, I can't believe this. Like, it's just morbid curiosity.
Yeah, it is. We're all nosy. We're all a little nosy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was good having some laughs with you guys. I told y'all that, with podcasting, my aim with podcasts is to have real conversations. And so I thought about whether or not I would do this conversation, and it was on the calendar, and I told y'all it would be kind of a game time decision. And if I felt like doing it, I really wanted to, because I'm kind of fresh off some emotions. And Teddy, I'll tell you what, you're the pastor of this episode. If I need to talk to a pastor,
come on, man, come on, Joe. That.
Yeah. So last week, it's really weird to think. Like, last week, my dad was hanging out with my mom. They cleaned house. They had watched some movies and everything. And then so Monday night, I went to bed probably around 10, and then got a call about 12:45, and I heard a bunch of noise in the background. My mom said, "Joey, I need you." And so she told me that she couldn't wake Dad up, and I won't go into some other details, but just like, wow, something's wrong. And I said, well, you called the paramedics, right? And she's like, yeah. So paramedics. So y'all, there's some humor in all of this too. I was kind of in a fog when she told me this. And so I'm thinking through my organized, analytical, what do I need to take to the hospital? I need a book, I need blah. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, Mom needs me right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I drove. I won't even say how fast, but I already had in my head made up that I'm going to look way ahead. I'm not going to, drive dangerously, but if a cop sees me, I'm going to slow down, put the window down and say, can you please take me to, and I wonder what a cop would have done. I want to talk to a cop and say, if you saw somebody speeding and they asked you, hey, my mom's in an emergency situation, can you get me there? I wonder how many cops would say, yeah, well, you got it. And then if I'm lying, they'll find out at the end. I mean, they can check things out. But that was my plan. So I get there. My dad's already in the EMS. I go upstairs, take Mom to the car. We get to the hospital. And there were some theories about what could be going on. And then when they checked his vitals, some of those theories were negated. And so the doctor said, we're actually kind of scared about some possible brain bleeding. And so we just sat there and we waited for about 45 minutes. And I think the longer we waited, the more I realized, man, this doesn't feel right. And so, man, guys, it was like a dream. Like she sits down and she says, yeah, my concerns are realized. There's brain bleeding on both sides of the brain. And I kind of put my hand on my mom's hand. I'm like, okay. So she's like, there's nothing we can do. I was like, oh, okay. And so, we're just sitting there like, what in the world is happening? And so we had approved a ventilator for some different physical stuff going on with him. And then once we got that diagnosis, we decided to take that out because my dad wouldn't want to be artificially kept alive. And so he took the ventilator out, and that was probably around 3:00 on Tuesday morning. And my brother and his family, he's got 2 daughters and his wife, they were planning on going on vacation. But I was keeping him up to date through the night. And man, it's crazy. Like in these situations, what you don't think about being so hard is seeing people you love heartbroken, like seeing my brother walk into the hospital and just kind of, almost collapse emotionally, seeing my dad in that state and knowing, that the time, had come. And so he got to, that's like a 9-hour drive. So they were able to come. Wow. They were all able to talk. All the grandkids got alone time with them if they wanted. Wow. And then, so here's some crazy stuff. And I love talking about this stuff with people who, think spiritually and consider themselves, part of the body of Christ. And, the supernatural thing that I will take to my grave that took place. So after the grandkids, my kids and Jared's kids and everybody had, they were at home. It was just me, Mom, and Jared. And I think Jared was holding one hand, Mom was holding the other. I had my hand on his feet. And his breathing became really labored. And it was one of those things to where I'm like, okay, I know he's going to pass, but I also want him to feel okay. So that was alarming. I was like, I hope he is completely out. And I remember them giving him some extra morphine. But y'all, the labored breathing, it was just, it was noticeably different than anything that whole day. We're talking, this is probably about 8:30. And y'all, he started to make some, like he would take a deep breath and then he would exhale like a moan. Take a deep breath, exhale like a moan. And what's crazy is it was a disturbing sound, but it wasn't disturbing. His eyes cracked a little bit. Y'all, I will take it to my grave because I'm going to tell you what happened after this. I'm going to take it to my grave. I think that he was seeing eternity, whether it was Jesus, an angel, and I think he was communicating that to us. He just couldn't communicate it. Wow. But there was an awakening. Wow. There was some sort of an awakening, and he did it for about 1.5 minutes. And Mom even said, "Wow, are his eyes kind of open?" I was like, "I think so." And so that happened for about 2 minutes, and then he tensed up, and we even lifted the blankets up, and his fists were doing this, shaking. Y'all, he hadn't moved, since he was in the hospital. His shoulders go up like this. And after he relaxed, it was the softest, lightest, most relaxed, peaceful breathing. It was unbelievable. It was night and day. He did the moaning, and all of a sudden, he was at peace. And y'all, the breaths just started getting further and further apart, and within 30 minutes, he was gone.
Wow.
And I really believe that we saw kind of some sort of an entryway into eternity, and his body was just at complete peace. It was unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean,
his faith became sight.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's what's crazy. Father's Day, I bought him Imagine the God of Heaven by John Burke. Pastor Greg was talking about it as near-death experiences, God's revelation, and the love you've always wanted. And he basically goes into the science of, so let's just say my dad didn't die. People that he writes about in this book would say, hey, let me tell you what I saw. And they would describe things on like top of the hospital, for instance. I saw this big, graffitied X on the, and they're like, well, there's no way you could see that. You were in the hospital bed. How could you see the top of the hospital? Like there's all sorts of accounts of near-death experiences and things like that. But Teddy, I'm curious, or all three of you, I mean, have y'all been with people as they've passed away and or heard of any stories, just along these lines where it's just like, wow, that's something else. Something must have happened in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, I think that's one of those kindnesses of God that he gives those of us that are left. That's what we get to, in a lot of ways, remember. I never had a chance to meet your dad, but I've heard you talk about him tremendously, and the joy that you have and your family has had talking about your dad and the shenanigans and being a Clemson guy. I mean, come on now. I mean, you see it over the shoulder, right? But that's just those kindnesses of God that we get to carry us into the next season.
Yeah. Have y'all? I don't think any of y'all have. Please forgive me, because my memory is horrible these days. Have y'all lost a parent?
No.
Any of y'all lost a parent? Okay.
No, I have not. No, sir. No.
I hear my friends used to tease me about this, but I literally thought, I don't know how I'm going to feel. And I think it's partly because there's no baggage between my dad and I. There's no regrets.
Yep.
We have a great relationship, and I've seen him suffer so much physically. But then I kind of inherited some of the depression, anxiety struggles. And so he had chronic pain from his kidneys, and then compounding that with anxiety about the pain, and so, he suffered a lot. And I just, I talked at the funeral, and I had to be careful with my words because I know some fathers weren't able to pull off what my dad pulled off. But my dad wasn't parented well, in my opinion. I love my grandpa, but my dad could have parented out of pain. And he could have checked out, whether it was suicide. He could have checked out, emotionally. He could have turned to substances. And I said at the funeral, a lot of good men fall, because I didn't want anybody to hear this as, my dad actually did check out. Like, good people fall, man. But my dad broke whatever it was that Grandpa did with him. And my brother and I were not parented by someone parenting out of pain. And I think it really, really hit me reflecting this past week that things could have gone completely different. In normal statistical circumstances, I would have gotten similar parenting that my dad got, and I got nothing of the sort. I got a wonderful, wonderful parent. But I feel like it's harder than I thought. But I feel like I feel like Charlie Brown saying this, but it's good grief. On Peanuts cartoon, they always say good grief. But I that's what I feel like it is. It's good grief. Like I can think of him and just at the snap of a finger, be moved to tears. But it's like, I'm so glad that I'm not mourning what could have been or having regrets and that sort of thing. But
Joey, do you think that the calm at the end, has that helped in your processing? Like, you were able to be there and actually see and experience that your dad's, like, even those last 30 minutes of just calm, like, has that helped in your grief journey?
Yeah, that's interesting. I would say probably so, unknowingly. Obviously, what if he would have passed away with the labored breathing? That probably would feel a little bit different. Yeah, I could see that. My mom's thankful that he didn't die in bed, to not have that kind of stuck in her memory. But anyway, you guys, I know, as my friends who love me, y'all will let me tribute just a little bit to my dad. I want to tell y'all some things, and then I do have some questions I'm curious about. One of them I think is super interesting. I can be looking at a picture of my dad, and I'll be smiling and be like, golly, I can't believe he's gone. And then there's certain Instagram posts that I made, and then I have the song in the background that reminds me of him, and I'll click it to hear the music, and then I just start sobbing. So I want to talk about music and emotions, and whether that is whether that's surfacey stuff or whether I kind of think music brings out something deep into us that's a blessing. But we'll get to that in a second. So my mom and dad almost did not get married because when he went to a family party, my mom's cousins thought he was so cute, and they just kept giving him liquor and shots, and he got a little bit hammered, and my mom was like, I don't know if I want to be with this guy. And so the family, the cousins and my mom's aunt who was doing that, I mean, they were just like, you got to forgive him. That was our fault. Take him back. And so me, my brother, my mom, and all the grandkids are happy that mom forgave him. But I've actually journaled some about this, so I have this written down, but we would go out to this lake, or my dad would take my sons out to this lake to fish. It's a family-owned lake, my aunt's. And I think the last time I went out there, and it was so crazy. Y'all may have experienced this kind of stuff with your dad already, but I remember him carrying half of the cooler. I was carrying half, he was carrying half, and I could see how much he was struggling with it. And I just grabbed the other hand. I was like, I got it, Dad. And that was the first time where I was like, whoa, my dad is getting old. This is real. Like, he was struggling with half of the cooler. I grew up, Dad was Superman, way stronger than me all the time. Now, I knew that wasn't the case. I knew I was stronger than my dad, but it really was like, he struggled with holding half of that thing. So that was a big one. And it was so crazy. All these things happened in this one day. This was just beautiful. My son caught a fish. My dad's so excited. Oh, Waylon, yeah, you got it. Then William catches a fish. Yeah, that is awesome. Then I would catch a fish. He would have the same reaction. It was just the best thing. I'm like, Dad, I'm 47. I've caught a fish before. But to see my dad's delight in his 47-year-old boy, exactly the same reaction that he had with my sons, I was like, my dad just freaking loves me. Like, I'm just his son, I'm his little baby boy. And I know that I'll feel the same way about my sons, but it's just neat to know, man, that's how my dad feels about me. And then I will not
You talk about, hold on real quick.
Yeah, please.
Talk about your dad breaking that cycle and creating a new family rhythm that, of course, you will be that way with your kids and your grandkids because that's what your father has done to you, which is a beautiful picture of what our Heavenly Father feels about us. No matter if we're 50 or 7, wherever we're at, he still has that joy. You got to actually see that lived out. What a gift. What a gift.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I'll tell y'all, what I said at the eulogy is if I had to pick one word, and I know most dudes would not like to be settled down on this word, but if there's only one word, it's just my dad was so sweet. I mean, just anybody who met him, just so sweet. To the point where, so my therapist, who I've been with for 6 or 7 years, my dad asked, do you think she'd talk to me? Just, I just want to talk to her once, ask her some questions. And I was like, I guarantee you she would. I talked to my therapist after he passed, and I'm telling you, probably with tears in her eyes, he made such an impact on her that she said, I am so glad that's how he passed. And she actually said, I did not want that man to have anxious thoughts near his, she said that sincerely. I did not want to see that man, be scared or anxious. And I was like, who are you? You met my dad one time. That's kind of a shout out to my therapist. But then, just my dad is so sweet. It's just like you talk to him for 5 minutes. You're like, I hope nothing bad happens to that guy. He's just so sweet. But I won't be. Maybe I'll get through this one. But my wife helps me with this because my mind was so jacked. And Teddy, we were both campus pastors at the time, so you remember very well my mental health crisis when I was out of the loop for a good little while. But I almost can't even remember this, but I was just laying on our bedroom floor, just face down. I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't want to live. I can't be a good father. I think my life is over. There's no getting out of this. And my parents come to the door. Priscilla opens the door, and my dad, he just says, "Where is he?" And Priscilla says, "Upstairs." And my dad lays down, basically face down, but just connecting eye to eye, and just basically laid down with me and just to connect. And when she told me that, I kind of remember, but it just, I remember when she told me that, I mean, it's like 6 years ago. From that point on, I thought my dad knew that there was nothing that he could do to take away the pain. And the best he had was just to get on my level and have some sort of connection. And I know it was so hard for my parents seeing me go through that. There was, time where I was laying in bed at their house, and my dad just came in there and just started reading scripture. I mean, he didn't know what else to do. But that image in my head is just
what a legacy he's leaving for you and your kids. And like breaking cycles is big enough, but then just hearing these things, these stories that you share, like what a legacy he's leaving.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Awesome painter, Clemson, big time Clemson. I joked around on Instagram how his routine, he would check the Clemson news before he had his quiet time. God was first.
One of those things changes quicker than the other.
That's true. That's true. Hey, Teddy, you'll appreciate this, man. I mean, the memory of this is when Hunter Renfrow caught that touchdown pass to win the national championship. My dad was literally like probably on his knees, like watching the TV. And I remember being so excited. I bent down to hug him, but instead of staying on the ground and hugging him, I just picked him off the ground in one big motion, hug and pick him up. Fun moment.
Beautiful.
But I've been playing Fire and Rain by James Taylor. My dad mostly listened to Brandon Lake, worship music and stuff, but I'm kind of more connected to the stuff that he listened to way back in the day. And he bought these Certain Vegas speakers, and at the time, they're like the best. It was the best stereo you can buy. And he would always tell me, I used to play Fire and Rain, and the drum part, boom, 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 he said, would just shake the whole entire house. So I've been playing James Taylor, but the song, You've Got a Friend, when I hear those lyrics, I'm like, that's what my dad was to me. You just call on my name, wherever I am, I'll come running. And I'm like, that was my dad. When I was in my mental health crisis and Priscilla would call him, he comes to the door, I'll come running, Anyway, let's talk music.
Appreciate you sharing it, Joey.
Thank you. I feel like I got such a beautiful picture of who he was. And
and there was a lot less crying at the funeral, or a lot less crying today than at the funeral, so that was fun for me.
We'd be okay with crying, too.
Yeah. So, with music, it happened to me today. I just posted a picture, and I have... y'all know the song, Our House is a Very, Very, Very... So he actually told me when I was a kid that he... so if you're familiar with the Charleston area, I mean, I'll tell you, on the corner of Fort Johnson and Folly, there's now a car mechanic shop, but that used to be where my mom's parents lived and where she grew up a lot of her life. My dad remembers saying his goodbyes to my mom and then driving down Folly Road, seeing that house get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and he was off to Vietnam. So in him and my mom's mind, they're like, maybe we don't see each other. And that song was playing. And so I posted a picture of my dad, and I'll look at that picture. And this morning I was looking at it, and I was like, golly. And then I clicked it, heard the song, started crying at the drop of a hat. And so it makes me think about, okay, what did music do? Did music do something that I didn't have without it? And if so, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it manufactured?
Singer Bree.
Go ahead, Bree.
I'm curious to know what you think because you were in this world.
Like, you wouldn't think that cheapens the deal. You'd be like, well, music is beautiful and powerful.
I think that's this sounds so cliche, but I think that's the beauty of music, that it has that kind of power that we can hear a song and it can take us back to a moment in our lives, that it can remind us of somebody we love and a memory we have with them, and that it can stir up those emotions within us. I think that's one of the best things about music. I don't think it cheapens it at all. I think that's the power of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say almost any crying I do, like it's been Tuesday night. So we're talking, this is a Monday. So we're talking 6 days ago. I'd say any crying I do about my dad at this point is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So if music causes it, it's not like I'm going to, every 30 minutes, I need to cry, let me play some music. But if it happens, it happens. That's a good thing.
It connects you to your dad, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's so special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For certain. Hey, I'm going to give you a little parenting hack.
Yeah.
I believe that you can tell where your kid's heart is depending on what they're listening to at the moment. And I'll give you a little bit of example from my background. So Joey, we were, hip hop, little grunge hit in there as well.
Ain't no word about it.
Still are. There we go. But man, when I started dating my wife, Sarah McLachlan got real familiar in my car.
Yeah.
I was listening, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was a testament to where my heart was. It was a reminder, like, oh, you know what? My heart's chasing something different. It's feeling differently.
Yeah.
And I watched this in my own kids, and listening to them enjoy certain songs that remind them of times with us as a family or that are more upbeat. And then whenever they get into some things that are a little more melancholy, a little more even relational type of things, it helps me as a dad know, okay, I'm going to just ask them about this area in their life because this is what they only want to listen to. So I think it has such a deep, in Luke, it talks about out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I believe what is in our heart is what we listen to. That's what we're drawn to listen to. And so I think like right now you're in the season where you're experiencing the love of your Father and you're just wanting more and more and more of that. And so it opens up that piece in your heart that touches just a beautiful part of your soul. So I think it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that and how you said it, because I've heard, he's told me what he thinks about books. Jack the Greater, he believes that we should consume whatever books we at that time want to. He said it's similar to how we ingest food. Like if we're craving protein, your body probably wants protein. If you're craving, carbs, your body probably says, I need energy. He thinks the same way with books. Like if you're craving a historical book on a biographical figure, then go find one and read it. Like if you're it sounds similar to what you're saying about music.
Yeah, and you could chase even that down if like the areas when you're going off the rails, if you will. Like if you're wanting to something that is not good for you, then that's a little check in your heart. Like, whoa, there's something. This isn't just something that I'm interested in. There's something deeper down here. So let me do a little work on that. Yeah.
All right, so this is borderline inappropriate, but there was a
this is the direction we need to go.
Teddy's like, this is what I'm here for, man.
This is what we're doing.
Well, I saw a reel on Instagram, and it's so pertinent to this conversation. It says the Titanic movie is only sad because of the music, and y'all, it is a collage of the most horrible, tragic clips of that movie, but the background music is like trombones and
I've seen that.
And it makes the scenes almost funny. Now, I think part of the humor is that we're like, this is not funny. These are real people dying. Why do you have this kind of music in the background? But it did show me just how much sadder the music made that movie. I mean, that movie is freaking sad as anything, man. I mean, the Titanic, that's a very, very sad situation.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Abbie?
Yeah, I saw it, and it led me down a rabbit trail of other movies that they've changed scenes in both ways, like a really happy moment, and they have this slow, emo music, and I'm like, music has some wild power.
Yeah.
In every direction.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of every breakup, right? You come up with a song.
Oh, gosh.
And I mean, it is the most, depending on how the breakup went, it might be a rage song, or it's just this sad, I'm lonely, just music.
Well, what's nuts?
I love it.
What's nuts too is if I listen to a song from, I'll just name it album, Clarity by Jimmy Eat World, one of the best albums of all time. If I listen to that song, I hear it like no one else in this whole entire earth. Like I hear it from the context of 1999, the year after I met my wife, my last year of school, all the memories that had to do with me rocking that album over and over and over. Nobody hears that album like I do. I mean, it's like a personal, like my music library is like a personal library to my ears. They're the only ones that hear and internalize these, songs and the way that they do. I mean, that's special.
Yeah, it is.
That's special. And I guess you could say the same thing about art. My dad has tons and tons of paintings, and some of them bring back memories of, a painting that was in the house when I was a kid. You guys would look at it. Y'all wouldn't have that context, but I'd be like, oh, wow, that's a nice, All right, let me ask, we'll wrap the conversation here, and I want y'all to try to be brutally honest. We have a leading pastor duo who's very open-handed, and they know they have a mixed bag as far as different sort of beliefs. As we all believe in Jesus, but we're all going to land on different places when it comes to certain things. I'm curious, what do y'all think? And it's not going to hurt my feelings at all, given my dad just passed away. It's not like, oh, be careful. But what do y'all think about the dead? And we'll just say the dead in Christ. Like, do you think that you think my dad watched the funeral, heard everything? Do you think that, if the saints are interceding, do they get to look down and watch? Would my dad ever be allowed to, you hear all the time, and I've heard this from Christians who would have never said this before losing someone. After losing, they're like, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm almost positive I sensed their presence the other day. It's unmistakable. Some people would be like, well, that just doesn't happen. That's not theologically sound. And then other people go, well, why not? Why wouldn't God allow that sort of thing? I'm curious. And if you don't have any thoughts on it, that's fine. But what do y'all think about the dead in Christ specifically, and how or if they are able to interact? Are they keeping up with, what's going on? What are y'all's thoughts?
I literally just had a conversation recently with my husband because I told him, I said, hey, when I die, don't spend a lot of money on my body because I'm going to be having an awesome time. Don't worry about me. I'm good. I am like, even, regardless of whatever the situation is, of like, my body feels great. I got none of this. My breathe, like all of these things, like I'm living my best life. Don't worry about me up there. And I feel like I think about that too, of like, if watching me from heaven is what makes, if your dad watching you is like what makes him the happiest, but also like he is having the time of his life in the presence of the Lord. I don't think he's not worried about, and not in like a negative way, but I just don't think he is worried about what's going on down here because he made it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. He did it. Yeah. He made it there, and he's in his eternity with Christ. And so he gets to
and
have fun up there.
And I think that part of the veil being lifted for, I would think in some way, shape, or form, a veil has been lifted of my dad. I think that not only, he doesn't even need faith to be able to say everything's going to be okay. Like when I say everything's going to be okay, that's part belief, and then that's part of proclamation of faith. Yeah. I think where my dad's at, there's no necessary faith. It's like, oh, everything is okay.
It's just true.
And it's going to be okay. Yeah. And my loved ones are going to be okay. There's like probably just this deep sense. Yeah, Abbie, I could see that. It's just like, I mean, what? I ain't gonna mess with all that stuff. They're fine. Everybody's, I'm fine.
Well, even the way you were talking about your dad, like you have no regrets. I feel like he felt the same. Like if that's how you feel on your side, like he's getting to be up there and he's like, all right, guys, I'm waiting for you. Mm-hmm. I feel great with what I did and how I led my family and loved my wife and kids. And now he's just sitting up there, with almost the same idea of like no regrets. He doesn't have to worry about Joey's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah. Teddy, it's going to be so, like, seriously, the Clemson season is going to be so weird, dude. Oh my God. It's going to be so weird.
I can't even imagine.
Like knowing that we just talked about whether or not they're aware. So I'm not assuming that my dad won't be aware of Clemson season, but just if they blow out a team, it's like, whoa, I'm not going to text my dad about that. It's just so weird. And I've had these mental adjustment moments where we were at the funeral home, and I think we were getting to a place where we were transitioning from the visitation to the actual memorial service, and we were getting family together, and there was something in my head, like, well, where's Dad? And I was like, oh, we're here for Dad. It was the weirdest thing. When we show up at the funeral home and we look at the program they made, I kind of made my mom not upset, but she was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And then she laughed, but I looked at the program, I chucked it on the ground. I said, that's all wrong. And she's like, oh, what's wrong? I was like, it's Dad's picture on it. Like, that's not right. Like, it just doesn't feel right, sort of thing. Well, I'll close with a Vietnam story to honor my dad. We talk about how sweet he is, but he's got some stories as far as, or I've got some stories as far as just what of a backbone he had. And I do joke around that he was the most laid back parent, not easily angered, but if you burn that fuse down, oh my gosh, it was wrathful. It's like, do not talk back, do not plead your case, listen to the man, do what he says, get out of his line of sight if that fuse is burnt. And, I could probably, maybe a dozen times I saw that side of him. But so he was a civil engineer, so he wasn't in hardly any combat. I think maybe they were fired at a few times. But he had a commander that said, Virgil, we need you to have that bridge built, and we need it done by such and such a time. He was like, officer, that's pretty much impossible. I can't do that. He's like, I don't care what you can and can't do. I'm telling you to do it. And at all costs, you get the bridge built, and you get it built by such and such. He's like, good gosh. He's like, okay. So he goes to his squad, everybody that answers to him and builds stuff under his supervision. He's like, all right, here's the deal. We got to get this. I'll just make up some days. We got to get this built by Saturday. If you pull it off, I'll give you Sunday completely off. So they're just like, oh my gosh, yeah, you got it. So they did the miracle. My dad was proven a genius for giving them that motivation. I mean, because they probably worked through the night, but just to get that full day off. Well, Sunday comes around. They're sleeping in their barracks. The commander comes by, and he's just like, what the bleep is going on? Like, where are these guys? They're supposed to be working. He's like, oh, no problem, sir. We got the bridge built, and you said get it done at all costs. I told them that I would give them the day off. That's why. He's like, I don't care what you told them. You get them up. They need to be working. I didn't give them a day off. My dad told his commander, he said, you're going to have to tell them I'm not making them work. I told them that I wouldn't. I told them they had the day off. You tell them. And I want to say, I'll have to ask Mom, but I want to say the commander didn't wake him up. But it's like, heck yeah,
he
man.
said at all costs, and he did not define what at all costs means.
Exactly. Well, love you guys. I do appreciate y'all kind of having my back and helping me tribute my dad so fresh off of his passing, and feels good to be able to do it. And honestly, just being on, I'm one of the, Lynn too, but I'm one of the people on this podcast weekly. It just feels weird to not tell people that my dad died. It's kind of a big detail to omit. So thank you guys. This was scheduled way before he died, so this wasn't the plan, but thank y'all.
I appreciate you letting us in, Joey.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Special.
You've been watching Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. You can now become a patron of this podcast and receive exclusive content. Your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts in local prisons. Also, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe to this podcast so that you get these episodes as soon as they're released. All of this information can be found in the show notes. Thanks for watching.